All right, contractors, we know the customer isn't always right.
You just lost yourself a customer.
Right? We agree on that? But why is it in a lot of our conversations the common mantra in insurance claims and property restoration, and even if we pan out to the broader construction industry, do right by the customer?
Just can't please people.
Let's look at whether that mantra,
do right
by the customer,
leads to the right habits and mindsets that lead to better project outcomes, not just for the contractor, but for everybody involved.
Hi, everybody out there, DYOJO Nation.
As a contractor, every day is a fight for survival.
What the hell are we doing here, Harry?
DYOJO is the Do Your Own Job Dojo.
Sweep the leg.
Curated by John Isaacson, contractor,
Can I inspect your home?
author,
There's nothing like it out there.
and mediocre podcast host.
Nicely done on keeping it together.
The DYOJO Podcast.
Should be listening to you.
Helping contractors shorten their dang learning curve.
Only here on the DYOJO Podcast, folks.
the Avengers, the DYOJO Podcast.
Last time on the DYOJO Podcast. Every industry association has some form of a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Martin L. King is the restoration industry's most prolific author and one of its leading innovators.
So that is your RIA passport stop number 1. Be in the room when the RIA MLK Award is announced.
In 1986, RIA established the Martin L. King Award to be presented at the annual convention, highlighting the CR induction ceremony. This award is presented to an individual who has over many years made significant and conspicuous contribution to the restoration profession.
And take a look at the list, get to know the prior year's winners, and try to meet at least 3 of these awardees. You want to be the best, you got to surround yourself with and collaborate with the best to challenge your mindset and habits. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program and current topic.
do right by the customer.
I'm telling all my friends not to shop here. Tell them. You think I want 5 other yous running around the store?
If you're a contractor, you know full well there are some unhinged customers. If you're an owner or a manager and you haven't been out in the field dealing face-to-face with customers, it is time for you to get out there and do some face-to-face interactions, especially if your team members are relaying back to you some of the shenanigans some customers are pulling. Most companies try to train their people to do right by the customer, and that's the right thing to do. But there needs to be some additional training on how to, number one, not understand when a customer is escalating, how to maybe de-escalate, or say maybe we should come back, or whatever that looks like. We've had customers over the phone. We've had insurance claims representatives over the phone. And to be fair, we've had other contractors just come unglued.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
So it is happening, dealing with the erratic or unreasonable customer. Hopefully you have systems built into your process where if you're getting the sense that they're that type of customer, you politely say, I think, I love to say, this maybe a competitor that you don't really respect would be a great fit for you. You should give them a call. I don't think we're qualified to address the issue that you have.
F you, pound sand.
Is one way to kind of excuse yourself. Not every job is the right job. It's better to pass, and maybe have a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, than to take it and just live through the regret of trying to get through it. That said, let's take quickly a funny look at outlandish customers.
You just lost yourself a customer. You think I own this business? I'm a part-time employee halfway through a 2-week notice. I don't give a...
That's a clip from Scott Seiss. I think Scott Seiss Comedies on YouTube. There's obviously a TikTok video, but pretty funny some of the stuff customers say to employees. And in this particular video, he's pretending to be an IKEA employee.
I'm telling all my friends not to shop here. Tell them. Have them call me, I'll tell them.
So if we're looking at do right by the customer as a mantra, what's part one? Understanding the scope of the project. Is doing right by the customer the right way to assess, determine, and agree upon the scope of the project?
I like this bathroom.
This is one of my favorites, Due South Brad on TikTok. On YouTube here, it's Due South Inspections. He's a home inspector, and just the dry way he does home inspection reviews, whether these are DIY or homeowner specials or somebody picked the cheapest contractor available, they're pretty darn funny.
Right off the bat, a little convertible sink stopper. I like that.
For those listening, the drain plug is not installed in the sink. First, let's take insurance out of it. If this is a remodel, construction, a build project, a direct pay, then the right scope, the right price, as our good friend Ed Cross, the restoration lawyer, says, is what a willing buyer is willing to pay a willing seller to perform that agreed upon scope of work. So, but, as contractors, we have to dictate the scope. You're the contractor, right? Or at least be relied upon to know and advocate for what is and isn't right. So just because a customer wants something doesn't mean they should be allowed to get it.
So if I stand in the center of the sink, I can look at this plug, which really prioritizes things for me. I'm not vain. I don't want to sit here and look at the mirror, but I would like to admire maybe a Glade plug-in or a nightlight. Stupid.
So again, if you're listening, the mirror's offset for the plug.
People that want to center up mirrors are just insane. Go take that OCD somewhere else. Not going to do everything for you. Gee whiz. The light's centered over the mirror. Is that enough? Huh? Just can't please people.
Do right, do right, do right.
Do right by the customer.
So customer, as it relates to scope, isn't always right, and the contractor has to know what is right and advocate for that. And if we can't come to an agreement, maybe it's not the right customer for us, right? We disagree on scope, so this is not the right project for us.
People that want to center up mirrors are just insane. Go take that OCD somewhere else. Not going to do everything for you. Gee whiz.
On the other hand, as it relates to outlandish projects, there are several contractors who make great money and have made a niche for themselves by making the impossible possible, right? So just because as a contractor you're like, I don't have the skill set to do it, must therefore be impossible. We just recently had this conversation. Go out to a house.
Can I inspect your home?
The customer says, well, I had my handyman come out, and he says that he can't repair the cabinet, so you have to replace the whole kitchen. Must therefore be impossible. And we hadn't even observed it yet, and so when we got out there, it's like, well, ma'am, I definitely disagree.
I drive a Dodge Stratus!
These cabinets are damaged, but they're not damaged beyond repair. We actually have somebody that does excellent work. Do you want your whole kitchen ripped out and to spend that additional time without your kitchen? Or would you rather have somebody come in, repair the faces, rebuild the boxes, and get you back in your kitchen sooner? She's like, well, actually, I love my cabinets. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. And I'd like to have my kitchen back together sooner. So just because this contractor doesn't have the skill set or the experience to accomplish the task, must therefore be impossible. at maybe a lower scope, lower price, even though you do it for that scope and price, they're going to make money, doesn't mean that it can't be done. So just because, you can't say, I don't know how to do it, so it can't be done. Your insurance company is crazy, or this customer's terrible. They don't understand. They're stupid. Fight facts with facts. Unfortunately, we're not the contractor for you. This is not in our skill set, our experience, or build out. Maybe it's a job that you take to build your experience in trying to do those kinds of things, and you take a risk to increase your toolbox and your skill set. But making the impossible possible, doing things that nobody else wants to do, which is a lot of property restoration work, can be a great way to create a niche.
Mindset change.
Some people specialize in high maintenance customers. That's what they want. A lot of contractors don't want to work with insurance companies for that same reason. It can be done. You just have to build your experience out to be able to articulate the scope and the cost and be successful with it. Impossible. We want to thank our sponsor.
I will not bow to any sponsor.
Epic Estimates. Any estimate, anywhere, anytime. Let the award-winning Epic Estimates help your team write the next Xactimate or Symbility estimate, freeing your team up to do what they're good at while helping your business maximize productivity and profitability. The Restoration Industry Association. Connect and collaborate with your industry peers through the largest nonprofit professional trade association dedicated to the unique plight of restoration contractors. Join us April 8th through 10th, 2024 in Dallas, Texas for the RIA Convention and Industry Expo. Actionable Insights has built the Actionable Xactimate profile, which provides live estimating guidance while you work in Xactimate to help your estimating team avoid costly mistakes. Create accurate, more complete estimates with the Actionable profile. It's a no-brainer for anyone looking to upgrade their Xactimate estimating workflow. No more estimating mistakes, no more missed line items. How to Suck Less at Estimating, Habits for Better Project Outcomes, book number 4 by John Isaacson. This is available in paperback as well as an interactive course available through our friends at Restoration Technical Institute. Gain valuable insights on setting your estimating team up for success, processes and procedures for good sketches, detailed photo documentation for claims, how to level up as an estimator, and field resources such as using Xactimate for materials list and budgeting. By taking the 6-module course, again through our friends at Restoration Technical Institute, you can gain 6 hours of self-paced instruction that are eligible for continuing education credits with the IICRC. Thank you to our sponsors. Please let them know that you heard about them on the DYOJO Podcast.
You have entered the DYOJO Podcast.
Do right by the customer.
So we're talking do right by the customer, this mantra concept.
We know
the customer isn't always right. And breaking down whether that leads to the best outcome for all parties involved.
You just lost yourself a customer.
Prior to this break, we were talking about if insurance isn't involved in the construction project. So now let's talk about some of the intricacies related to when the insurance company is involved in the project, because
Bunch of locusts.
Non-insurance means customer has a scope of work they want performed, and they're working to find the right fit for quality, cost, timeline. When insurance is involved and there's a water damage, a fire damage, and it comes time for repairs, it's important to understand first off what we call the insurance claim standard. This is in all of the books that I've written. The DYOJO Be Intentional series, we have Be Intentional Estimating.
It is a playbook. There's nothing like it out there.
Be Intentional Culture, So You Want to Be a Project Manager, and How to Suck Less at Estimating. Better claims outcomes.
The DYOJO.
Through better mindset and habits for estimating insurance claims. In those books, we talk about the standard. The expectation of insurance when it's a covered loss is to restore the structure to resemble pre-loss conditions with materials of like kind and quality. The standard. So it's pretty simple, for the most part clear, but there's a lot of gray areas. So I wrote an article recently in CNR magazine called Let the Structure Speak.
That's fine.
I elaborate more on some of those concepts of how the contractor, the policyholder, and the carrier should all really be focused more on letting the structure speak.
This house is clear.
Interpreting the damages from that perspective, and that leading to better project outcomes, as opposed to just
Do right by the customer.
solely focusing on what the customer wants. Because a lot of times I think when we say do right by the customer, it means promote, advocate, push through whatever the customer thinks they want. And that's, if what you mean by do right by the customer is do whatever the heck they want you to do, that's wrong. Our friend David Princeton, Advocate Claim Service, is going to explain a little bit about the 3 roles in the restoration triangle.
Any classic loss is going to at least involve 3 people.
Is he about to say it?
3 people. 3 people.
The restoration
3 people.
triangle.
3 people. You're going to have the policyholder, the one who suffered the loss. You're going to have a contractor, the person that's going to fix it. And you're going to have an insurance company and their adjuster.
The restoration
3 people.
triangle.
So at a minimum, those are the 3 people that have to be involved in it.
We call it the restoration triangle.
The restoration triangle.
The restoration
3 people.
triangle.
Beautiful term. I like that.
In a typical construction project, whether or not insurance is involved, how many different entities are there?
There's the homeowner, there's the contractor. If insurance is involved, maybe there's an adjuster. Sometimes the homeowner brings over, we call him the Ron Swanson neighbor.
What are you, stupid?
The neighbor that knows everything about construction.
You know, how many times you show up to a job, well, I was watching on YouTube and blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Even within the construction organization, if there's differences of an opinion.
You got the general manager, the estimator, the project manager, the technician, the carpenter.
On the insurance side,
adjuster, claims reviewer, customer support, the TPA.
So there's so many people involved in a project, in an insurance claim. Probably, if we're all being honest, each one of them thinks they know more than everybody else. You listening probably often feel like, I know more than you, why are you arguing with me? We can facilitate a better conversation, better outcome by creating, again, the standard, restore this property to resemble pre-loss conditions with materials of like kind and quality. And then when it relates to trying to articulate the scope, really what we're trying to do is allow the structure to speak. What is obvious about this loss? What was the source of the loss? Have we addressed that? Have we reduced the probability of it happening in the future? What is the extent of the damages? You know, have we identified where this water, fire, smoke, you know, any number of damage-related items have gone? Have we properly addressed those so that there's no future issues or secondary damages? And then have we been honest in our assessment of what can be done to either salvage? This is a mess. It's amazing to me. We are in the property restoration industry, but there's oftentimes very little that we restore. More like property demolition industry, demolition, destruction, and install items from Home Depot industry.
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
You know, taking that to heart, like what can we do to actually restore, salvage, rebuild? Not from a standpoint of cutting corners, but in the kitchen scenario, keeping people in their kitchen and reducing the amount of time that they're without that key service in their home.
Do right by the customer.
So you want to be a project manager? A project manager? A project manager.
Something we'll be talking about in an upcoming episode is some alternative perspectives on recruiting, hiring, and developing project managers.
A project manager.
Many of those principles come out of our best-selling book.
So you want to be a project manager?
By John Isaacson. It's available on Amazon. We've actually added some updated information and revised a few things.
A project manager.
This is a great resource for owners who are hiring, training project managers, general managers who are doing the same, project managers who want to level up, as well as property restoration and construction professionals who want to step into a project management role.
A project manager.
General mindset, habits that will help you be successful as a project manager.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Thank you for tuning in to the DYOJO Podcast. We hope you were informed.
Yeah, so I've learned something here.
And entertained.
Are you not entertained?
DYOJO.com/podcast.
You can buy John a beer, you can support the show, or you can buy one of the books I've written. The last one being How to Suck Less at Estimating.
What am I supposed to do with that?
And you can find them on Amazon.
There's nothing like it out there.
Got a brand new tub, new surround. That actually doesn't look so bad at all. They caulked it. Which looks good.
Big gap between the tub and the caulk.
Marks. Don't take my word for it.
Tub's all chipped.
Still
has the sticker on it.
Grout optional. That's the way I've always looked at it. I'm not going to sit there and grout everything. We'll get it close, and then that's it. Like these corners. Did this part. Like, what do you want from me?
Well, if customers say, well, insurance is only paying for this amount, so what can you do? And it's like, wait a minute. Do we agree on the scope of work that needs to be done? Yes. So there's a variance between what we feel is the right scope and price as the contractor and your insurance company who just used this program, didn't even send somebody out, used our diagram, our photos, our loss description, our details to then tell us that it's the incorrect scope and cost.
When you start complicating the claim,
the contractor says this is the scope that we feel is correct. The insurance company obviously has to decide what they feel is covered and to what extent that they're liable and have to, make the customer whole. But that argument is between the customer and the insurance company that they bought their insurance from. We've done our part to present it. So now you want to ask me to lower my price because you're not willing to have a conversation with your insurance company. Doesn't make sense.
Really?
And the same goes for the contractor. What is the right price? If you're on open market and you're hiring a contractor, YouTube says the price should be da-da-da-da-da. Great. Go hire YouTube. The insurance company says the price should be da-da-da-da-da. Great. Tell the insurance company to send their contractor or somebody that'll do it for that price. And then if they send somebody out that you feel confident can do it, great. If not, you need to work with your contractor to advocate for, the right scope and price.
Do right.
By the customer.
It's not promoting the idea that the customer knows best, because often they don't, and going down that avenue doesn't lead to the better project outcome. So letting the structure speak, following the standard, knowing your role in the restoration triangle, and executing from that standpoint.
Just can't please people.
Must therefore be impossible.
What the industry needs is conversations like this.
Thursdays are for DYOJO Podcast.
What are you, stupid? Mindset change.
Helping contractors shorten their dang learning curve.
Once you get to the point where you're not willing to listen or not willing to learn, you pound sand.
DYOJO Podcast.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
This is complete hogwash.